Welcome to Wisdom Exchange TV, an Ignite Excellence Foundation initiative in support of Africa Businesswomen Connected Summit, taking place in Ethiopia in 2013. The Wisdom Exchange is a resource to aid African women to learn, lead, and succeed in life, business, and community. It's a forum where women of all disciplines will learn from African women in politics, business, education, and philanthropy. These are the women that are the change agents of African companies, community, countries, and continent. These women will stretch our perception of what we can do and what we can be. Expert perspective blogs will be updated regularly, so please do subscribe so you do not miss an episode. These are the women that are the leaders of today for tomorrow. Welcome. My name is Suzanne F Stevens. I'm the host and producer of Wisdom Exchange TV, as well as the president and founder of the Ignite Excellence Group of Initiatives. One of our key initiatives is the Ignite Excellence Foundation, which our mandate is leadership, advocacy, and education, with a vision to inspire and develop women leaders in emerging countries. As an inspirational speaker, a leadership and sales coach, as well as a living coach, I've had the opportunity to work with the women that we're about to interview today. We are in Kampala, Uganda today with our special guest, Hellen Acham, Executive Director, Northeast Chili Producers Association. Hellen Acham left the National Public Service in 1998, knowing she would turn to entrepreneurship and start an agroforestry business in Lira, Uganda. Northeast Chili Producers Association, which coordinates groups of 30 women associations of chili producers across northern Uganda. She's helped these women to process and market their crop for export. She has trained more than 300 women in entrepreneurship skills, marketing, and other areas. So alongside the business and training, Hellen is a mentor, counselor, and peace builder. She is also a recent recipient of the International Alliance of Women Award winner in 2011 that's going to be given to her in October for community contributions. We welcome Hellen, and we appreciate you coming to us instead of coming to Lira, which is, I guess, 5 hours from here. So, being we had
5 hours from here.
5 hours
minimum.
So, being we had an interview this morning, it would have been a little challenging to get to you in time. So, I really appreciate you coming here. Now, I would like to go back to go forward as we learn a little bit about you. Is what motivated you to leave the public sector in 1998 in the first place?
I left public sector because I realized I was not really utilizing my skills and talent to effectively support the community, especially the women. So I realized that there was a gap of women participation in economic development, especially for women in northern Uganda. So that's really what motivated me to leave public service. And also, I looked at some successful entrepreneurs, and I thought by getting into entrepreneurship, I would really make a change in the lives of the community, especially the women. And also I realized sometimes I had time to do a lot more, much of the work. However, because in public service, in Uganda, we work when you want. You at times do your own things, and people are not motivated to do the work because of the minimum wage is too low. So I thought I should get out and explore what is out there and use the available natural resources in northern Uganda to make a change.
You know, it's interesting when you say many of the reasons you left the public sector, but you know, I'm an entrepreneur, and to go from the public sector and then decide to be an entrepreneur, what gave you the confidence to think you can make that transition?
First of all, I started by joining Uganda Women Entrepreneurs Association Limited, and learning from how they were doing business, I got more inspired and motivated. I got self-motivation because I saw some women who were really doing business and they are able to make ends meet, at the same time in some areas also supporting others to come together So really, that is really how I got out. And initially, I had no money, but I also underwent some entrepreneurship trainings, skills development trainings. So from there, I was able to realize that after scrutinizing what am I knew that I had to sort myself. After doing my SWOT analysis, I realized that I had a very high potential that I could utilize to make a change in my own life and the lives of the many who were not able to do things on their own.
So what type of training did you find the most helpful?
The entrepreneurship skills development. I did it here in Kampala when I was still in public service.
Okay.
Yes, I did it. The training was organized by Uganda Women Entrepreneurs Association when I became a member, and it was conducted by Enterprise Uganda.
Okay. You know, I'm a big believer, learn where you are, the job that you're in, and then take those skills to do what you really think you should be doing. So, congratulations for that. Your initiative is not just about agribusiness. It's you know, it's agriculture, but it is also about providing education and teaching of women. Can you just give us a bit of a snapshot of the how you started your business, and agribusiness, and how it ended up benefiting women in the community?
In 1998, before I left civil service, I had already started agroforestry nurseries. And in that agroforestry nurseries, I realized most women out there, especially in Northern Uganda, were really lacking a lot of skills, entrepreneurial skills. So I started by organizing women in groups in order to give them, to train them, so that they are able to become self-reliant and also start up something that will generate income for them. And in the time of mobilizing the women, I started with 1,027 women, put them in smaller groups, up to the tune of 30 initial groups. And most of these women, we started training them in entrepreneurial skills. We also trained the youth in horticultural skills so that they are able to go back and do agriculture as a business, not just something that they learned. Since I had that background of agriculture, so I went and trained them, because I also utilized my skills, which I acquired through training, to motivate and develop the skills of the other youths who were not able to do anything. And I also realized that initially at public service, I was underutilizing my skills because I was partially attached to a particular project, which was targeting only on one crop, and yet I had even a limited coverage area. So this really, when I looked back in Northern Uganda starts from Teso, Lango, and Acholi sub-region. It's a big region. It is almost half of the country, or 3/4 of Uganda. So I realized that the people there were still lagging behind in many things, even economical activities. They were not more involved in them. So I realized that there was a very high potential, because there is a very vast fertile lands with a good weather, and people could make a change. But there was no guidance on what products they could produce to have the market, to meet the market demands. The chili, which I eventually zeroed out, was never grown in Uganda. It was picked wild. So I started initiating the first chili production in Uganda, and now I think Uganda is almost the highest producer of chili in East Africa. And it was my initiative. I'm always happy to say that.
As you should be. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah. And we started really in a humble way, only with women, but eventually now we have many groups. I work with 10,000 households across Northern Uganda who are producing chili. This season alone we expect over 500 metric tons of African bird's eye chili, besides the long cayenne. And besides that, we have also been engaging in agroforestry. We realized that Northern Uganda can also grow coffee, so we have a lot of coffee now grown by the women and also other farmers.
So you had the knowledge on how to grow.
Yes.
You learned how to teach.
Yes.
Okay, through your entrepreneurial courses and...
I am an agronomist by training.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So basically I've been doing a lot of trainings, farmers trainings, through giving them extension services. Okay. So I learned both. Why
women, and how are they in producing the chili? Like what skills do they bring to the table that has helped you become a big exporter of chili?
Yeah, why I targeted women? One is I found that the women were the most impoverished people in Northern Uganda. They did not have any income that they can say, this is my own. In Uganda, we have a very stringent land tenure where all the land belongs to men. So I had to start targeting women so that even if they have a small piece of land, or even if their husbands give them some land, they can produce something that can give them income. And the women in Africa, I would say more in Uganda, are the breadwinners of the families, especially in Northern Uganda where we had war. Everything was purely on women, and yet they are the ones who were more disadvantaged. So that's how I targeted women. And I realized women also can easily learn and adapt to new skills and technologies faster than sometimes men. And they are easy to work with. Since I told them, they also saw me as a woman bringing something new. Although at the beginning there was resistance when some men were resisting to allow their women join groups because they thought they would be compromised, because they had a very bad experience on cooperatives where they were purely growing cotton in Northern Uganda, and they lost a lot of money to unscrupulous dealers who went and got their products on credit. And then secondly, chili had a red market, and the market demand was high, and women basically provide most of the household labor and the farm labor, especially in Northern Uganda. So that's how I really started targeting the women, and they have now caught up. Even the men are now learning from women, because every household now, both men and women, learn together and work together.
How receptive, and now I know you were saying men weren't necessarily receptive to women working because of their cotton experience, but have you heard of any challenges that some of these women have had now being the breadwinner and working? Has there been any challenges of men accepting that?
When the women get money, men want to take full control of money. They want to become in charge when it comes to marketing time of selling and getting the money. But what we've done through various forums and trainings, we have tried to mainstream gender by bringing men and women together to understand each one's role, and you know that whatever they are producing belongs to both man and woman in the house, and they should work together, not underrating and marginalizing women. So far now, at least there is a bit of improvement than before. Initially, the women would do toil labor when it comes to marketing. The men come and get the money, and sometimes even chase them away and marry new women. And those who produce, who had the money, are chased away or abandoned with the children.
What do you think you do?
What do I think?
What business are you really in?
I'm really in chili business. In agribusiness, I would say I'm in agribusiness, but I'm also a peace promoter. I have been fighting for peace since the year 2000, when there was a lot of problems between Choli, Lango and Teso sub-regions because of the LRA war. So I've been trying to bridge the gap by trying to bring these people together so that they really understand and love one another. And I've been using the economic activities for social intervention. Like I make them share to know that when we work together, we can get the bulk of the chili, which can get the market, but also building peace amongst themselves.
It sounds like you're also building up peace amongst men and women as well.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
I am trying to do that. Actually, we have decided to mainstream all our activities, gender mainstreaming in all the activities that we do, whether peace building or economic activities. It's one of the things that we bring men together and try to teach them their gender roles so that they really work together for the betterment of their families.
What are some of the technologies do you think are needed in order to even further grow the business?
The post-harvest handling technology. And here we have basically been using the UV polyethylene sheets for drying our chili in order to get the quality that we need. However, we are also looking at technology development so that we should go into further to process the chili and get finished products. And here in processing, we need to process chili powder, get the chili oil, which is a very high marketable commodity in the market. It's put under essential oils, and we're also looking at making our chili sauce, because most of our chili sauce is either imported. We only have one company that is producing chili sauce, and we feel that would really help if we are able to make chili sauce concentrate, and we can export that. That can be used by other factories to make dilute chili sauce. And those are the technologies we hope, if we can acquire, would really help us much to achieve. Because first of all, the chili oil is very essential, because all the pharmaceuticals need it. And it's the most expensive element in the chili industry, because all the drugs, both human and animal, whether injectable or tablets, are preserved using the chili oil. And then all the garment industries use the chili oil, they use chili for color separations. So if we are able to get the technology that would help us do proper processing and separating all those necessary value additions for various products that we can produce from chili, would really be very, very good. And the production now is highly increasing, because we are covering entire northern Uganda, and now we have farmers from central and western Uganda who have approached us to start growing chilies, because they have realized that there is a very high market for chili, and the country that used to be the major producer, now I think their production has gone low. And above all, our chili is the best in the global market so far, because of its capsicum and the pageancy.
What advice would you provide to a woman or a group of women, or any farmer for that matter, that has, be it tomatoes or potatoes, or they grow something? What advice would you provide to them to grow their business?
For other farmers who grow potatoes or beans or whatsoever, I think the best way is, first of all, to go commercial farming. Try to acquire bigger space of land that you can utilize, and use improved inputs and technologies, and add value through processing. That way they will be able to grow their businesses, because I know right now majority of the farmers are selling unprocessed food. So the better advice I could give them is, first of all, increase the acreage. That has been a big problem in Uganda. There is always a very high potential for all the produce that they produce, including grains. But the problem is the production and then the quality. The most important thing is they must adhere to quality standards. This can be achieved through good post-harvest handling processes. once you mess up in postal handling, everything will go bad, because the market nowadays is looking at quality products. So much as they can have much products, if they don't have quality products well handled through post-harvest handling, then that is very bad. And also try to harvest products, whichever product you are, when it has matured fully. There's been a problem with vanilla in Uganda, where the market was too big and everybody went in for vanilla. They started curing the vanilla, which was immature. They harvested at the 50% maturity. People harvested, the post-harvest handling didn't go well, and the whole market disappeared. So I would advise all the farmers to adhere to the maturity period of whichever products they are producing, so that they are able to increase their incomes and also sustain and maintain the markets. Because one thing, it's easier to get a market, but if you don't sustain, if you're not able to sustain the market, then it will be very bad.
Processing seems to be where the money will come, or the sustainability, rather than just surviving, but actually making a good income. If you're a farmer and you're just growing at this point, do you have any recommendations how to get to that processing point?
Yeah, basically, say for instance for chili, we are now trying to put these people in groups. Since they are already in groups, we are trying to put them in bigger groups by forming cooperatives, so that it will be easier for them to market their products through cooperatives. Processing is something that can be done centrally if all the groups accept and they produce and they are ready to obey the minimum standards of the product. That one is something that is very relevant. However, there are some products that you may find that the market needs them unprocessed, and still the farmers could make the money if they maintain the quality standards. So I would advise the farmers that the most important thing is, in all agricultural products that they produce, post-harvest handling is very essential. In whichever form you're selling it, whether fresh or dried, how do you handle it? At what time do you harvest? And that pre and post-harvest, you'd look at the maturity period, and then post-harvest is how you're going to handle your product after you've harvested it. So I would really advise the farmers to critically consider those major elements of maintaining the quality standards and ensuring that the pre and post-harvest handling activities are handled in the proper manner.
Could you give us 2 examples, perhaps, of post-processing or post-handling that you would recommend?
Yeah, one way is, I would maybe say, if you are maize, let me not talk much about chili, because chili is always what I talk every day. Let me talk about maize. If you're a good farmer, at least harvest your maize when it has matured up to 95% mature. And that it should have been dried before you harvest it completely from the field. In that, you are able to handle the pre and post-harvest elements, because you will handle it. Then after you have removed it, only remove the combs and keep it in a dry, clean place. If possible, use taplings. And for those who can have silos, they can put them in the silos and make it dry again before you can eventually prepare it to remove it from the cobs. However, if you don't have some of these technologies, you can use the solar dryers by erecting a solar dryer by use of a UV polyethylene sheet, and then you have your racks and you can dry your maize properly, clean and thresh it and winnow it very well, then you can package. You would have avoided post-harvest losses, which really, in most cases, farmers lose up to 25% of their products during the post-harvest. Post-harvest losses is so high because, one, if they harvest immature crop, much of it will be winnowed away when they are cleaning it because the grains did not fill in well. And since it was immature, even the color of the product will change, of the produce will change. If you're supposed to get a clear white maize, you will get maize which is brownish and it will be shrinking. So you'll not be able to get proper grain seed that you needed because you harvested before it was mature. Unless otherwise, if it is circumstances due to the disaster or weather, climatic changes, especially for farmers who are basically depending on rain-fed agriculture, that is 99% of farmers in Uganda depend on rain-fed agriculture. If it is a disaster, that one is understandable, but not because you will be rushing to get money and then you do a wrong thing and then produce a poor quality product, which will actually chase away the market instead of attracting more markets. And in that, you're not able to sustain your market. So basically, I would want all people involved in agribusiness to observe the pre- and post-harvest handling. That is very critical for any agribusiness enterprise to succeed. And for any farmer to make a headway or succeed, must observe that. And also, in commercialize, you can even decide to take a product instead of doing so many. Choose one product, grow it in a big commercial basis, you will still make the money. However, I always tell the farmers who grow chili that in order to take care of food security, also grow food security crops, other food security crops beside chili, although chili is one of the food security crops because once you have the money, you can buy any food you want. But once you don't have money and the disaster falls, you will not be able to have anything to eat. So basically, I would advise the farmers to maybe have intercrops. You can have, but don't go in for everything. Try to specialize in 1 or 2 or 3 crops that you can maximize the limited acreage that you could have to make better profits. And you can do it better because once you specialize in a product, you can do it better than the rest, and you can have very big output other than doing so many at the same time, and you have very poor quality of everything, and you don't maximize the outputs. So that's really the advice I would give to farmers.
Specialize, you'll be more successful. And the other comment that you made that I think is very powerful is if you're going for the money and harvesting too soon, you may be pushing the money away rather than bringing it to you. Now, how are you able to coordinate? I believe it's 30 associations to work together. I mean, that's no small undertaking in itself. How are you able to do that? And any advice that you have to other farmers to coordinate a cooperative in maybe a similar fashion?
How I've been able to coordinate. First of all, I make sure that in each group, I identify whom I call a lead farmer. And for your information, much as I have extension staff, but I do farmer-to-farmer extension more than using the extension staff. As an organization, we have 22 field staff who are based in various districts and sub-counties to coordinate the activities. And these farmer groups all have their leaders. So basically what we do the training of the leaders. We build their capacities so that they are able to coordinate some of the activities, and we delegate them to do much of the work. That's why we have succeeded. because if we are to run around everywhere, you can't manage. But at least once you build the capacity of some individuals from different groups, from different associations, different sub-counties and districts, they are now able to coordinate, and we do a lot more, delegate them, give them the powers to do the work that I should be doing, and they are able to produce results. And you delegate them after you have built their capacity to be able to handle some of the challenges that they face. And one thing is we have mainstreamed conflict development sensitivity programs in all our things like gender. We make sure that we train them to be conflict sensitive in whatever they are doing, because we know any successful entrepreneur there are many other conflicts of interest that may arise, and there are also other conflicts that may arise from any development. Like in agribusiness, basically we use land to produce. So there are other challenges which you have to be aware of. As your business grows, you may need somewhere to put a warehouse for the community. So the community should be willing to give in the land, because they know the land belongs in our area, the land belongs to the community. Our land tenure is a communal land, unless otherwise the one which is owned by government, where they have government as services. There might be need for infrastructure like roads to support the whole project. So it's the members who should be able to provide the land where some of these infrastructures are put in order for them to grow their businesses. Because without access road, their products, their produce cannot be picked from where they are. And sometimes without a store where they collect these things, it will be very difficult for individual farmers, especially for chili, to keep chilies in other stores where other products are kept because of its urgency. So we always try to mainstream all this and make sure that the communities take the lead in all that they are doing. But we try to strengthen them by giving them all the relevant skills to be able to do that.
What are some of the biggest challenges related to exporting?
One of the major challenges is the standards. Right now we have the EU standards that every product living in Africa must follow. So, and then we produce organic chili. Certification is a long process. Some of our farmers up to now have not yet been certified. Some of them, some groups are certified. There were some groups which were certified, but because the government came up with a policy of spraying DDT inside the houses of the community, so we had to deregister those farmers and now start registering from different areas. Like for organic, it takes 3 years for a group of farmers to be certified as organic producers, and that is a very long process, and the inspectors will always keep coming. Leave alone being long, it's also a bit expensive to do certification. And then sometimes the European standards can change anytime. Much as we had the AGOA, which gave an opportunity to Uganda, but AGOA basically was free on cotton products. However, most of other products still had a big challenge. So this is one of the challenges that the standards generally sometimes they put very stringent conditions for whichever commodity is going out there to the market. Especially if you are exporting to Europe. But if you are exporting locally right now, like Chile, we export part of it. I would say 65%. Some of it now goes to Kenya, but eventually I've learned also it goes to Kenya, then the Kenyans also export it to Europe, those who have other markets the other side.
So how do you deal with the standards? Are you always just responding to the changing standards, or is there anything that you do to be ahead of the standards?
We try to respond to the changing standards, because sometimes if you try to be ahead of standards, you may not know exactly what they want. They can change and say, no, no, we don't want it this way. So we try to always get updates on the international standards for specific products that we produce.
It's moving sort of away from agriculture, more about you and your success. What's your, according to you, what do you feel like your biggest accomplishment actually is?
I think my biggest accomplishment, one of them is I feel I have been able to economically empower the women and the community of Northern Uganda. Have been able to bring peace and unity, and most communities in Northern Uganda currently are living in harmony, much as they are from different tribes, different languages, they speak different languages, but I think I have managed to bridge that gap, and that is what I think is one of the accomplishments that I have done. I have tried my best to make them to have some of their incomes. Now that most people who are returning are able to meet the basics human needs. Some of them have put structures. Majority of them are sending their children to school. I'm happy to say about 65% women are able to send those who have children at university. They are able to meet their university fees for their children. And 35% have permanent buildings for themselves, which is good for them. They are no longer dependent on handouts. They are now self-reliant in one way or together, especially those who are involved in the chili production. And then that gap of bridging, I think I've also done a lot to unite the civil society actors in Northern Uganda, because the civil society now can sit together and work for the community, looking at the gaps which are existing. I think I've been able to do that, and I think I've successfully achieved that.
That's a lot of success, but
Yeah.
it's a lot of success. None of it has anything to do with you. It has to do everything with who you've impacted.
What I have achieved myself, I have now my own home. All my family is happy. I have paid six of my dependents. I have 6 adopted sons and daughters. They have all completed university. One is this one who is coming for her master's, and she's now working with me together. I have been able to acquire all the basics. I have 3 pickups, 1 Prado for transport. I have been able to acquire a lot of farmland, about almost 100 acres, where we have put permanent crops and also chili besides it. We now have our own home, the office for NECPA. We have our own warehouse. We acquired the land and put that. So I think that has been a big success.
So can I challenge you on something?
Challenge me.
If you could attribute your success, your personal financial success, and the impact that you have made to so many people, to one thing, be it something that's happened to you in your life or an incident that occurred, what would that one thing be?
It was just that self-motivation and hard work. However, I also got support from various partners who made me successful. One of them, I would say, I've worked with USAID. They have supported me twice. One was with the USAID Spring Project, which was Peace Stability Project. And currently we've been working with LEAD. lead is livelihood enhancement, supported by USAID. I have also been able to get other partners like ECO, is a Dutch international organization, interchurch organization. They've also given us some support, but all these people came in after I had started. I started getting partners from 2009, but from 98 I've been struggling alone and using the limited resources that I retired. When I retired civil service, I retired when I had only 300 shillings, but hard work, and generally hard work and the cooperation that I received from the women, and then the markets that I got for my products really made me what I am.
Now, with that, with every successful person, there's something that didn't work, at least many things that did not work.
Yeah.
Can you just give us one example of something that you initiated that did not work, and then if you could tell us what you did or would do differently in the future?
So far, one thing that I would say I initiated and did not work very well is, I would say I initiated what we call Uganda Victims Foundation. But I realized when now we have set up, registered, now even have the offices, we initiated 3 of us. All the 3 ran away, I remained alone. I persisted mobilizing the organizations. But eventually when people saw that there was a lot of energies coming to support the Victims Foundation, there was a lot of people now starting to grumble to take over, and yet I really wanted to mentor them and hand over. That's the way I always like to do things. But when I saw there was a lot of force left, especially the political, trying to interfere a lot, I had to say, no, I think let me stop here. And that's one of the things that did not work out very well. Now the organization is faced with a lot of challenges. And I think most the donors that we got initially, some of them have already withdrawn because of the grumbling. People whom I handed over to mismanaged the organization. Was a lot of mismanagement of funds and other things. So that is what really has not worked very well with me among my initiatives.
What would you do now differently to ensure what has happened doesn't happen again?
Actually, right now I'm trying to revive the organization. I called the board, and the new board that was elected, I have taken them through a series of training myself, which I supported myself. And I have told them that they should focus at the organization, not individuals, because some of them had personal grudges amongst themselves because of some corrupt officials came in place. So I told them that you need to look at organization at heart and look at the objectives of the organization, why it was formed, and then they would be able to forge a way forward. And I'm also trying to make sure that I convince the previous supporters of the partners of the organization that it's not the same organizations that have gone into tatters. We are now trying to revitalize it. And that is what we are trying to do. We are also planning again to call the stakeholders meeting to do what we call the organizational assessment. Right now we've contacted one consultant to do that, so that we want to really assess what could have caused all these things that brought a lot of mistrust within the organization.
I mentioned the edginess segment to you, and what that is something that you've had to do that makes you uncomfortable, but you have to do it in order to be the success and create the success that you have created. What is one thing that you've felt uncomfortable doing?
One thing I felt uncomfortable doing, You know, initially I have been all along offering a free service. But as I got some partners like ECO and others, they are saying that all the beneficiaries who will benefit from any of their project activities have got to do cost sharing. So sometimes it is brought like, you know, people used to have some handouts. Now they have been asked to pay for everything that they are doing. So some of them are even asking us, sometimes I feel uncomfortable because the dynamics of the economy are changing. So we are sometimes forced to ask people to pay for some of the services or contribute for the services. Like we would want to support them by giving them oxen to open up bigger acreage, but we also have to ask them to contribute certain percentage so that they are able to get that. I feel uncomfortable, but then it is the trend of the economy, global economy, that I can't really change.
That is a great edgeness example, and I also think it's a great example of you can give, and I'm just curious, did you see a change when you started asking for their contribution?
There is now ownership. They don't say whatever they're doing. That one, initially they used to say when we take them the free seed for chili, let me give an example. They will call the chili, that is Hellen's chili. They say, oh, that is Hellen's chili. But now they have ownership and they take very good care of whatever they are doing. When you talk of quality, they produce good quality. We ask them, okay, there will be dryers, you are expected to contribute a certain percentage, we shall get you the dryers, then eventually you will be paying it, you're getting it as a credit facility. You pay a certain percentage, we get some percentage, we top up, we buy the materials, we set for you the dryers, but then you will gradually be paying back as a credit that you have got. There is a big change in that too, because initially people were used to handouts. At the beginning it was hard. I felt, how do I start implementing this? Because initially there was a very high resistance, and especially when I had the initial people I started introducing into, besides the women who already had their skills built, entrepreneurial skills built. But when I brought in the formerly abducted youth for them, they wanted, now that they have to rehabilitate them, they should be getting everything free of charge, they should not contribute. So there was that resistance, but eventually they saw the importance of contribution, and they saw those who were able to put in their contribution were getting very successful. And also they are now able to, because I told them, once you have a quality product, now you have the right time to bargain for a better price. And now they are seeing that as one way that is making them also successful.
Excellent. How do you define leadership?
Leadership, I would say I define leadership as it's a process, you know. Leadership is a process of inspiring others to do things the right way you think it should be done. And it takes a lot of motivation for one to have that process, and trust. So when you look at those processes, when you look at how do you inspire someone to be able to follow examples of what you would want from a person, a good leader must be trustworthy. A good leader should be able to provide, to motivate others to do things the better way. And I think a good leader should also, you should inspire others to do what you think is right for them as the community, and they should be able to follow what really it should be. So I feel leadership is just a process of inspiring others to do things in a better way, and it should be things where people have trust that they can all engage, and should be somehow something that can provide motivation for the rest. That's what I think leadership is.
What would you love to do that you haven't done yet? And that could be anything.
One thing that still gives me a challenge is I have not yet started one project that I have in mind of processing our products to finished products. And one other thing is I still feel a challenge on how I should bring women who are now in the middle class to a top class, that they are able to compete and stand out, to be recognized and notice that women who have struggled to make a change, especially in Northern Uganda.
Since you have a daughter that is 11 years old, what words of wisdom would you give to her?
You know, I have been trying to look at the talents that they have. And then looking at the talents, I would prefer motivating them to take up the talents. But one of the wisdoms that I think I would give her is that she has to be a hard-working girl, and maybe learn from my own struggles.
And I think to your point, take the talents.
Yeah,
it's a
talents,
really good word, follow your talents.
Talents is what I am really looking at, their talents.
Yeah.
What are the talents that they have? I would only build upon their talents and strengthen them, encourage them, inspire them to make use of their talents so that they are able to progress and grow. Because I know one of the richest resources that you have is your own talent.
Yeah,
and it's what you need to start with. You don't need money, but you need a talent that you need to build upon and use that talent to make money.
The last question is, what words of wisdom do you have for African women?
For African women, I would encourage women to work hard, use their talents that they have, obey their gender roles, don't step on people's shoes. That is one other thing that has been a problem, because some women have misunderstood gender. But I urge African women to obey their gender roles, and please look at entrepreneurial skills that will help you to move up. Carry a SWOT analysis of yourself. Find out whom you are, and there, African woman, you will be able to succeed. And if you're going in agro-business, please specialize. If you're going on crafts, the same would be better. Specialize and take something that will build the nation. Because what I know is the women are the backbone of economy in Africa. And I would strive that they continue looking at economic activities that will not separate their families. Together we can, as women, and working together with the support of our partners.
Excellent. Great, thank you so much. My name is Suzanne F Stevens, and I co-produce Wisdom Exchange TV with my husband Michael K. Ginrich. We're traveling all through Africa over the next year or so, interviewing women just like Helen, people in politics, people in business, philanthropy, and education. And today we had someone with agribusiness and philanthropy. So we were looking for women in your community and in your countries to interview just like Hellen. And if you know somebody, we will research them to make sure they are a true leader, a trailblazer, or a pioneer in their industry. Please email us at info@wisdomexchangetv.com. Also, if you're part of an organization or a leader that would like to sponsor Africa Businesswomen Connected Summit taking place in Ethiopia in 2013, please send us information and we'll send you a package on various sponsorship options. This is a first-time event, a unique event that will tap into the change agents of Africa. And lastly, do subscribe to Wisdom Exchange TV so you don't miss an episode, as we do upload every 2 weeks, but we also will have special offers for subscribers. And lastly, my words of wisdom. Doing your passion alone is worthwhile. Conducting your passion with others in mind is inspiring. And living your passion will affect many is a true celebration. And we heard that today from Hellen. So thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you too. Thank you.